the Dallas Stars versus the Vegas Golden Knights. We've got the Dallas Stars coming in at minus 130 favorites versus the Vegas Golden Knights coming in at plus 110 underdogs. In terms of the season series, Vegas swept Dallas 3-0. I think it's worth noting two of those three wins were in overtime or a shootout. And Jake Ottinger, not exactly the best numbers against Vegas in those games. He goes 0-1-2 with a 3.21 GAA and an 885 save percentage. Before we dive into like the strengths and weaknesses for each team, the big storyline here is going to be the LTIR and Mark Stone. What are your guys' thoughts on this whole situation?
So I think, yeah, that the LTIR thing is it's just for Vegas is who's available. We don't know if Stone's going to be ready for game one. I know they've got some other injuries too. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I fully anticipate Mark Stone to be heavily involved in this series at some point. If he doesn't play game one, I would pretty much bet both of my kidneys that he's playing game two.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, I think when it all went down, I was kind of like, I don't know, it's a spleen. Seems like the kind of thing that is probably actually really serious. And Vegas once again proved me wrong. So I think he'll probably play. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
And credit to Mark Stone. I mean, I've dealt with a spleen issue before. It is not fun. It basically takes the life out of you, for lack of a better term. But I also feel like this is a guy who, if he got his legs sawed off, would be like, no, I can go. I'm good.
He is definitely one of those guys. This is a rematch of the third round from last year, if my memory is correct. Vegas beat Dallas in 6 games, so a little bit of revenge factor here for Dallas. Statistically, Dallas is pretty much dominant in every category. I don't know if you can actually find a team who was as solid as Dallas on paper during the season, but Dallas has probably more offensive depth than anybody else in the playoffs, I would argue. They've got 8 different 20 goal scorers. They've got the third best goals per game in the league, sixth best power play in the league, and arguably the best third line in hockey with that Johnston, Benn, Stankoven line. So they're deep. They can score with the best of them. But then you've got the defending Cup champs who they've got the experience. And I found this stat and I was very impressed that there's a website that keeps track of this. They are the tallest and the heaviest team in the NHL. So that's the fuck you Western
Don't
hockey
mess
that
with Texas, baby.
or I'm sorry, no, that's Vegas I'm referencing.
Don't mess with Vegas, baby.
Yeah, so Vegas the biggest team in the league. So like Heat Daddy would say that fuck you Western hockey.
So for me, and I know I've been saying that the Stars are legit for about 2 years now. I've said that they were going to make the Stanley Cup final since about December. So this is interesting. I mean, this all happens because of how the games last night shook up. I know there was some late drama for LA that caused this to happen. So this is a tough series. In fact, I would say this has been the hardest one for me to pick out of any of the first round matchups. If you're Dallas and you just had this amazing season, it's kind of crazy to think that the team that you're going up against is the defending Stanley Cup champions. And like we've seen with this team in the past, I feel like it doesn't matter where they're seated in the Stanley Cup playoffs anymore. They could come in as an 8 seed and still be better than anyone else if they really want to.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking that one of these teams will be out after the first round for sure. Both of them are arguably cup contenders, just based on their roster and kind of the seasons they've had. I know obviously Vegas fell a little bit in the rankings there, but I think we all know they're perfectly capable of going the distance again. This is going to be a great series. I'm very excited for it.
I would say this is the series I'm most excited to be a fly on the wall for. I know
Mm.
in yesterday's episode I said that was Boston Toronto, but I think this one might edge that one out. Harry, what's your gut reaction looking at the series? What would you say? Who takes it?
I'm gonna go Dallas. I think a revenge factor, and they're just too deep, too good. I don't care about that LTIR defending Cup champ stuff. I think Dallas is primed for a run this season. And I think it's also worth noting Aiden Hill, he kind of struggled down the stretch. Logan Thompson was playing a little better. Might be a little bit of a goaltending situation there. We'll see, but
I think it is a question mark at this point. I mean, do you ride the hot hand? Do you go with the guy that won you a Stanley Cup last year? Cassidy's absolutely got a decision to make.
Nick, your pick for this series.
I'm going to go Stars in six. I think they drop a statement this year, drop the hammer, and, put this to bed.
I will agree with the Stars in 6, Mr. Mac Vogel.
I'm going to go Stars in 7. I think it'll go the distance. I do think the Stars will win for many of the reasons you guys already said. But the biggest one, you have it here in the notes, Harry. There's just no weaknesses with this team. Like
No.
it's so hard to find like something that's not great about this team. They've got the goaltending. We already mentioned all the depth scoring that's going on. I mean, I guess maybe defense, but like even that, it's not really a weakness. It's maybe just the lesser of all the good parts they have. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly I could see it in 6, but I'll go 7 just to be different than you guys, and also just because I'll put some respect on Vegas. They'll probably battle.
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the most impressive things about the Stars roster is how many like playoff hockey players you like think of when you look at that roster. I have just a gut feeling that Logan Stankoven is just going to go off in the playoffs. I mean, he has fit seamlessly into that lineup since he joined that team. So I think he's going to be an X factor for sure.
And Pavelski. Is there anyone more deserving of a cup than this guy? I think he's going to have
Suter
something to
too.
say.
Yep. Good points.
Very good points.